discussing some of the stuff coming up. Very exciting times. Keen to see what you've prepped for the show.
I think lots of people. I've seen quite a few comments on this after the AMA the other day, and we are going to go through the AMA step by step. After the AMA the other day, people were concerned that adding things like Illuvial Combat and stuff like that is going to delay the game past Q2. What does it actually look like internally? Since we've only seen the one leak of Illuvial hunting, so it's hard to say where the game is at right now for the public, at least.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think Kieran made it relatively clear in terms of Illuvial Combat. That's something that's being worked on by some of the Overworld team, but it's not a prerequisite. It's not part of the MVP for open beta. So, like Illuvial Combat in the Overworld probably won't be coming out in open beta. I think that's a pretty obvious expectation to have. In terms of Illuvial hunting, which is the first iteration, I guess, the first step into that process, that will be 100% implemented for open beta. So, yeah, in terms of, is it going to push back? No. Like the Illuvial hunting is in a state where we're relatively happy. Obviously, we're fine-tuning it in terms of UI. Florian's working his magic as always. But yeah, no, it's not going to be doing anything. Again, the team is very confident about a Q2 release.
Are we talking early Q2 or late Q2?
You know I can't say that.
Worth a shot. Okay, because, well, I mean, the only reason I asked that is because when they delayed it to Q2, Kieran said that there was still a chance for Q1. I think everyone kind of thought that wasn't going to be the case. But that always made me feel like early Q2, but I guess now we just don't know.
Well, I mean,
it is what it is.
It depends on Beta 4, right? If you're saying could Beta 4 still be in Q1? Potentially. I would say I wouldn't expect it, but potentially if everything falls into place perfectly, potentially. I would say stick with the official announcements of a Q2 Beta 4 and again, going off Kieran's words. Now that Kieran's spoken, I can be a little bit more public with some of the information, but Kieran's mentioned in his eyes, he's hoping for 2 to 4 weeks of was it 2 to 4 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks, give or take, of Beta 4 before we go into open beta. So yeah, just using that as a general kind of time frame is probably a good place to start.
Sorry, it's been a long day and I've not gotten anything done yet, but this is going to be a relatively short episode. We do have quite a bit to talk about, some really interesting topics, but nothing too crazy. Let's jump straight into it. First up, we've got Nick saying that many of the promotional NFTs will actually have a new use case of layer 2 above being simply collector's items. Now, we can assume things like the Mozart skins and stuff are going to actually go on Mozart, but some of the other ones are a little bit more unusual. There's the one that I got from Oz CryptoCon where the Doka is holding the stuffed toy crocodile.
Something
How
like that
might that be used?
Something like that will probably still say, if you look at the words, I think Nick was very specific. Many of the promotional, not all of the promotional. So I think something like that will remain a promotional, whereas Doka skins and things like that, not Doka skins, sorry, Mozart skins and things like that will be implemented as in-game, granted in-game utility. As for things like the Doka that you're talking about will probably remain a promotional. Who knows? Maybe the team is working on something very real on how to incorporate that.
I mean, the obvious one to me is eventually you'll have some sort of like your little home base personal thing or something, and you can hang up art in your room or whatever, right? That is probably going to happen eventually. I think that's not really worth the man hours in the near future or even in the mid future. But stuff like that is always possible. So the next one we've got is Nick has given us a great update.
Real quick, sorry, do you want to just address the Timothy Johnson?
High vibrations?
No. The Illuvium Zero for a whole. We'll be waiting for Illuvium Zero for a whole. I'm not sure what you're asking with that. Sorry. I just wanted to address that.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think Kieran mentioned something about the Illuvium Zero open beta coming out after the Overworld open beta.
Say that again?
I think Kieran mentioned in the AMA, and I'm not 100% sure, because I've seen people mention it in the community, something about the Illuvium Zero beta coming out after the open beta by about a month, I think I heard him say.
I don't believe he said that in the AMA. I went through the AMA today and clipped it up. Wasn't said, unless I missed it.
I've seen that in public discussions. Maybe someone else said it somewhere else. I'm not sure.
Potentially, but as far as the AMA, it definitely wasn't stated. Anyway, what's up, Emma? What's good?
Not after, but at the same time. Yeah, hopefully. I have no idea if it's going to be at the same time or afterwards or anything like that. So, Nick has given us a great update where they're talking about the network errors handle. Okay, I'm not going to read through all this. Finished working on the API integration for Fuel. Paths API integration in progress. I'm looking forward to those changes to paths and efficiency. Marketplace stuff, planning solution. This is not particularly interesting. Completed hardware work, which is pretty cool. UI cleanup, which is great. Free-to-play features are in progress. So it sounds like they don't have a whole lot finished in terms of their new free-to-play stuff, play to airdrop and things like that. So I don't know where the team is at with that. We haven't... Illuvium Zero has quite literally not gotten an update for over a year, like any new features or anything like that. I know that's by design, but it makes it really hard to gauge where Illuvium Zero is at in terms of development.
It's progressing very nicely. I'll say that. I know. Yeah, I've seen some of the comments. But that was just TSG saying all the things he can't say. But I mean, I try and give leaks where I can. In terms of Zero, yeah, it's progressing. So it's nothing that I'd worry about. We haven't seen it, but it doesn't mean that it's not being worked on. And that's really, really smooth. In terms of some of the UI stuff, we've seen some of the stuff that Florian is been working on internally for hunting and things like that. It's incredible. So very, very happy to see everyone's reception to that when that gets experienced by the community.
Yeah, for sure. So the next thing here is that Kieran has said that his take is that a collection game inside the ecosystem for Illuvium Beyond, and so he does think it's entitled to 5%. Let's put that entire discussion to rest. Okay, after that, this one's a really interesting one. So Tabaluga.eth's biggest scare was that the founders, I'm assuming he's talking about, will earn so much money that they'll eventually leave the project. I think he's referring to, like, let's say the games have been out for 2 or 3 years already. People will just start leaving the project because they've already made all their millions or whatever. But Kieran says here he's 34, no chance he's leaving. Money loses its meaning after a while, and he wants to build the biggest gaming studio on earth. That's what matters to him now. And with the baby on the way, I feel that more than ever. I don't have children, so I don't hope to know what he means by that, but I don't see how that would be related, but I'll take his word for it.
Am I roboting, by the way? Is that a thing that's happening?
You're coming through okay for me. Your movements are roboting a little bit, but your voice is fine.
Yeah, cool. The movement is fine. In terms of the voice, yeah. I'm not going to bounce, man. I know how it is. It's kind of like, what is happening?
Oh, crap. I don't know why it keeps doing that.
Yeah, in terms of, it's kind of like, imagine waiting and sitting around during the bear this whole time, building in the bear, and as soon as the bull comes, you're like, all right, guys, I'm out. Like, it makes no sense. The team's been working insanely hard. Kieran's put all his time into this. Same with Aaron. No one's going anywhere. Like, they want to see this through. Everything's looking positive for us. We couldn't have planned it better ourselves, to be honest, in terms of launching just on the cusp of what seems to be a bull market. I mean, you can't write this. It's just if a higher power wills it, we're destined to absolutely just.
It doesn't sound sinister at all.
I mean.
So as far as the cinematic trailer, lore trailer, or whatever goes for Illuvium, Aaron still thinks it's about 2 weeks before it's complete. Obviously, we're not going to get it in 2 weeks, but it's good to know that these sorts of things are falling into place. And I just want the game to come out, man. I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted all the time.
It's really funny that you see that was on the you see it says still needs 2 scenes. I will give you guys an update on it. It's now 6 days later, and there's only one scene that's left. So
You love to hear it. We're almost there. Almost there. Let's just launch tomorrow. That's what I say, TSG. Unfinished cinematic, unfinished game. Let's get it out there. What does it matter?
I'm keen to see. Again. I think we're. Yeah, everything is very, very positive in the team. Everything is very positive in the team, and very, very excited to see how it all plays out.
So the next one, really quick one here, is that staking V3 will be built this year, but it might not be released purely because it's hard to keep people on both systems while some are locked. There's still a lot of fiddly details to work out. In some other sections, he also mentioned ZK EVM and stuff like that. So while so many people are locked into the protocol, the liquidity pool, etc., it doesn't make much sense for them to move to staking V3. So it's going to happen a lot later in this year, I think. And I don't know many that are in a big rush to see staking V3 be launched. But if Ethereum gas fees get even worse, it might start to become more of an urgent topic at some point. So it's something we will have to keep tabs on.
Yep.
So when Old Lady Ranger, once we get the full version of customization, we'll try to cover all types of people since it's meant to be your identity. Maybe we'll force you to face scan. Obviously, that's not going to happen, but it's a really fun thought to think about for sure. So this one's quite interesting here from Johnny. Okay, he says that fuel is always buyable at the max cap price as per IIP 39 or whatever IIP it is. 5% of this revenue will still be distributed to landholders. Okay, I did not know that they planned on doing that, but it pretty much sounds like even if it's at the max thing, which means that landholders aren't selling fuel that the people are buying, they're probably going to reserve 5% of that and then distribute it to landholders later. I don't know how they're going to distribute it or what their plan is for that, but I'm sure they'll find a way. I mean, really, you could calculate, you could do the maths on what they would be owed, right? So it wouldn't be too hard.
Yep.
Are you still a landholder?
Am I? Yeah. I haven't sold any of my land.
All right, we've got a really awesome leak here from Dimitri. He tends to post like one a week now, but it is what it is. We love them still. This one's really...
There should be something coming relatively soon for you guys in terms of leaks. There's a couple of things that are cooking, but one that's relatively imminent.
This one's super cool. I actually really like this leak.
Did you see the gold bull?
Yes, I did. I forgot to put it in here. Crap.
Yeah.
I'll grab it later, or you can grab me a link and send it to the chat.
Yeah. We were joking about it, but once Dimitri put that together, we were like, "Yo, we might need to actually have golden Illuvials as like a one-off thing. Like I don't know, like a funky kind of variation of it." I thought it was pretty cool.
You could just add them in, holo, dark holo, and gold, and they're all got different odds and rarities. And I think
exactly.
People underestimate the power of, well, Pokemon holo itself is based off of trading card games in general, but more specifically, people think about Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon, right? And Pokemon has done a billion different kinds of, like, they've got like 5 different kinds of ultra rare cards.
Like Shadowless and things like that.
You've got the full arts, you've got the trainer cards, you've got the gold cards, you've got the holos, and
like I would love to
holos.
See. Yeah, I would love to see I would love to see standard, gold, holo, dark holo, where the gold is like a little bit more casual, but at the same time, you're like, damn, you got a gold, damn.
I mean, it's just it's a cool thing to collect, and it's always something that would make you come back for more. You go into the overworld, you find a gold atlas, and you're like, that is really cool. It took me 20, 30 runs. Maybe I'll find another one soon, you know? Like, and then people they keep coming back. Maybe that's one thing, but it makes all of the rare occurrences more rare because it's not just, do you have an atlas or a holo atlas? It's like you could have one of 4 variants.
Exactly, yeah.
Which one do you have? They're even more rare in the grand scheme of things now, and that doesn't matter to everyone, but it does matter to a large section of players, and I think that's really cool.
I like it. Obviously, you wouldn't want to have like 10 different variants of it.
No.
But yeah, I think like a simple thing like standard, gold, holo, dark holo, it's a nice little touch. Nice
The
little touch.
worst thing you can do is make them too close in odds. You definitely want Dark Hollow to be ridiculously hard to
Of
get.
course. You'd want that like a 0.1% or something ridiculous. Like, yeah.
No, even lower than that. Way low. You know, Pokemon Shinies are like
It's like 1 in 4,000 or something.
Yeah,
Yes.
1 in 4,000. So it's like 0.01% closer.
Yeah.
So the next one we've got here is the Illuvium TikTok challenge. You've probably been watching all of the TikToks that have come out. I haven't seen too many of them. I've seen a bunch of them on Twitter. I've seen a bunch of them on Twitter. They've looked really, really great. Is there anything you want to say? This is probably one of your main jobs, your main initiatives here. Is there anything you want to say on the TikTok challenge in general?
That wasn't a my initiative thing. That was a Kieran and Dick thing. So they decided they wanted to try this out. Yeah, I mean, we've seen some numbers go up on that. So yeah, keen to see how it plays out at the end of it all. But it's been nice. It's been nice to see some more action on TikTok. And there's been a lot of people talking to us about TikTok. So there's a lot of opportunity there. I just need to make some time to double down on that and explore what those opportunities are and really optimize them. But yeah, I think TikTok's a great platform to double down on, especially as we go into this bull market.
So next up here, we've got a really big occurrence. The latest Illuvium patch came out of freaking nowhere. It was known to those who were really paying attention, but it really did come out of the blue for me. And the patch notes are quite interesting. There seems to be a little bit of a mixed opinions on them. Personally, I think it was overall a big win. Ramfire got heavily buffed because Inferno got buffed. They did this weird thing where they didn't nerf Bulwarks, but they buffed really niche counterplays to Bulwarks. Really weird ones where Inferno does max health pure damage now. And they tried buffing Arcanite and stuff, but they still can't break through Bulwarks. They buffed some of the damage dealers, not a whole lot, but they did some really interesting things. The other big thing that changed here that you should all be aware of if you're even remotely playing the arena, it's mentioned down the bottom, but basically adjusted the energy gain to provide increased energy when dealing or receiving damage. I have since gotten clarification. This is mostly just for receiving damage. But really, a unit receiving 68 damage would gain 1.7, and with the modification, it's now 3.4 energy. It's actually pre-mitigation as well. So if you've got a ton of grit, a ton of resistance, and it would have been 68 damage, even though you took 2 damage, you're still going to get like 3.4 energy. That's how it worked before, but it's quite interesting. And yeah, and I played a few games just before, got absolutely wrecked, but I noticed Null casted like 5 times in the game. Really frustrating because my gyro could not move across the board. So in an effort to try and make things able to kill tanks, they just made tanks literally 2x better, which is really funny. Like I'm seeing Titanors cast 3-4 times a game now. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I think this is a good thing overall, but they just need to buff damage dealers. It's like none of the augments are useful for damage dealers. It's really funny to me, but it is what it is. And I could be wrong. I'm not particularly good at the game. So
I was going to say, I'm not going to claim to be an expert at it. In terms of the feedback that I've seen, I think it's relatively, I think the majority of the feedback I've seen so far is positive. I won't say it's 100% positive, but I think I'm seeing the general consensus is that the patch is definitely better than it was last patch. How much better is still being discussed. It's only been a couple of hours. It's been like 24 hours or something like that. So I think give it some time for it to play out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely am enjoying Arena a bit more lately. With this patch, I think I'm going to enjoy it more. But yeah, I haven't figured it out yet, and I probably won't. I'm just going to get a meta team. I'm kind of sick of building my own teams now.
Yeah, so that's I just can't wait for the like what Kieran mentioned before as well. In the AMA with Najif. The new mode, I really just can't wait for the new modes come out and everyone to play it. It's revamping the whole game. It's way more accessible. It's just there's so much more.
To be clear, there's 2 things coming, right? There's the TFT Illuvium or the multiple player version, and there's a different game mode that is coming out a lot sooner.
I wouldn't say a different game mode. I would say a substantial revamp of the current game mode. So essentially, it's
Are you excited for that or the TFT?
Yeah. That one. I'm not a big fan of TFT. I know a lot of people will, but that's a bit further down the road anyway. So yeah, I was part of some of the playtesting for the one that I'm talking about here. I absolutely love it. I think in terms of the majority of players, the casual to moderate players, moderate skill players, is going to enhance the experience. I don't even know how many fold. It's way more fun, way more agency. It just feels better. There's a lot of positives to it, and again, I'm not going to come out here and say, oh, it's perfect. Like we've found the golden thing that it's not going to change anymore. But in terms of where we are, where this idea is compared to what we're at now, leaps and bounds further ahead. Leaps and bounds further ahead.
So here's a really interesting question from Ricky Goodsoul. Do you plan on creating a Illuvium Overworld leaderboard with actual competition and prizes? Kieran has been talking at length, and we're actually going to cover that right now, about airdrops coming to Illuvium based on playing and performance. The Overworld is the hub of Illuvium, so I would assume it is included in some way for airdrops and prizes. So the answer is that is coming. We don't know the specifics. I no idea the specifics, but it's coming in one form or another. All right, let's have a look. So Kieran Warwick answers the tough questions about Illuvium. We're going to look at some really quick snippets from the Najafe and Kieran AMA. There's a lot more information in there than what I'm going to show you here. So please go and check it out if you get the chance. I'm going to chuck it in the chat. There we go. If you get the chance, go and check it out after you watch this. It is a really good AMA. Let's jump into the first one here. Crap, I'm going to have to turn the volume on all of them. All right.
Yet. I'm still building out the details, but I'd like to see 2 airdrops done, or two different drops, one campaign where, and I think a lot of people are like, hey, you just dropped the fuel. Is that one of them? And the answer is no, right? Like the thank you, I feel like is a good way to show our appreciation to people who have staked in the protocol. We'll break that up into where you've staked, how long you've staked, any sort of purchases that you've made in the ecosystem in terms of like Illuvitas, land purchases, any fees that were generated from your trading on the Illuvidex. So there'll be an array of things which will generate you points. Those points will then go towards you earning whatever portion you have in the airdrop. And so the first one is a thank you to people inside the ecosystem. I'm toying with the idea of like actually expanding that to try.
So the other ones won't be as long as this, by the way. I think this was the longest one I was going to show off. But we can hear here that he's, oh my God, I can't believe I did it again. Okay. That he's planning on giving out the airdrop to those participating in the ecosystem. And it's not just the games, or at least the traditional games. Things like Illuvitas and even retroactively, the sorts of ways you've participated in all of the ecosystems are going to be relevant for these upcoming airdrops, which I think is really exciting. And I think it's going to make for some really interesting competition. I know I'm going to be able to run some really fun numbers where it's going to be like, where can you get the most bang for your buck in terms of earning these points to get the airdrops and all that sort of stuff. It's going to be really interesting as we go into that in the future.
Yeah, honestly, I'm very, I always say this, but very excited for the airdrop. Kieran's shared some of the details that he's been working on. I'm very happy with the direction that it's going in and the details that have been locked in for that. So it's going to be, again, the next couple of months is going to be a very, very exciting time for Illuvium, for the DAO, for the community, for the people finding out about Illuvium. Just everything around Illuvium is starting to really light up in the next couple of months.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait. So the next one we've got here is this.
It'll be based on all 3 games. So playing IZ, playing Arena, playing Overworld, even playing Beyond to a certain extent. and there'll be numerous interactions and milestones for you to reach.
So the airdrop is going to include everything, like we just established.
Which makes sense.
Let's potentially not sell more land plots. Let's create a system where the existing landholders who have been with us for 2 years plus now, give them a stake of what free-to-play users can actually generate. And so Johnny and I were kind of talking back and forth about some pretty crazy models out there, which are like pure speculation at this point. Aaron hasn't.
So he's discussing the ability for landholders to gain a portion of the rewards that free-to-play Illuvium Zero players will be generating. Now, on the surface, I hate this. I really, really do. It's going to take some really creative thinking to be able to do this right. But I don't like the idea of splitting land profits with anyone that hasn't paid for a land plot, really. It's just they've got to have something separate or something on top, which I hope is what it is. And then you take a portion of that, which would be really cool. But until I see more details, I don't know what to think of this one.
Yeah, well, I think he made it pretty clear that it was just in an ideation stage with Johnny. They're just throwing ideas back and forth. So keen to see if it is the direction that they end up going, what they end up ironing out for a strategy like that.
So the next one here,
a TFT guy, they're probably just like, they're really expensive getting them on the marketplace, but my time is worth something. And so we're thinking about having a way where you can basically speed run the overworld by not actually going and doing it. You don't get anywhere near as much of the acquisition of assets as going through, but it means you don't actually need to go into there. You basically just hit travel and call it a speed travel, and it just goes loads and says you picked up XYZ. If we were to do that, that would be applicable for mobile. But again, it's just an idea at the moment. Things like that would need to go through the council and the community.
So he's talking about, to help out with Arena when it comes to mobile, having a way to essentially do the overworld on mobile. Now, I think this is really funny because Vedamore has talked about this at length for probably over a year, about 3-4 months back. This was something he was a really big proponent of, is having a way for them to do a gacha slot machine instead of having to travel in the overworld. I personally don't hate it, but it has to be very delicate, same as Illuvium Zero things. So I don't love the idea. One of the big things that draws me to Illuvium is that every single atlas that's caught meant someone had to run into the overworld, find, and then catch that atlas. And that's really special to me. And I don't like the idea of circumventing that with any method, especially something that's so easy to bot in some ways. So it'll be interesting, but we'll see. I mean, you're essentially just adding TCG booster packs into the Illuvium ecosystem, which isn't necessarily that bad.
Yeah, look, I'm not against it. I think it needs to be implemented properly, but I think it's an idea that I brought up in the past. I know for a fact Josh.eth has brought up in the past as well in terms of feedbacks and ideas. I think it makes sense. It just needs to be done thoughtfully and implemented correctly. If it can be done in that way, it makes perfect sense.
See, I think there's some really interesting ways you could do it, where you could almost sponsor a player's run. Could be pretty cool. Like, I go into the overworld and I say, okay, I want to do it for half price, but 50% of the things I get go to whoever paid the other half for this little booster pack thing. And so it's the same outcome. It's just I'm splitting it with other players and reducing some of my risk or something. I don't know. That's just spitballing there, but I'm sure there's a way to do it if they really wanted to.
In the token price when nothing really had happened. And so I'm looking at that, and obviously there's the network effects of having a firm like Framework double down on you, they have a huge network themselves. What if we could get like 6 or 7 or 8 of these funds to go in right before we launch? That is going to be an even more positive. Yeah, and so I think again, what I'm looking for there is to have all of these sort of silent whales that we have in our community to look at that and go, all right, now they're not, they're
I never really, when it comes to this sort of stuff, and obviously Kieran's a lot more experienced with me than me when it comes, well, he is experienced when it comes to capital raises and I am not, but I've never really thought about the network effects of capital raises. And I know the messaging that it sends to the community and other VCs and things like that, but I like the idea of Framework being so heavily invested. Now they can tell all their friends to also get involved and be a part of Illuvium, which is really exciting to me. And I can't wait for when they execute some of these capital raises. So I think it'll put everyone's minds at ease and put a lot more confidence into the project as a whole. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I that part really got me excited. Like, we're very close to launch. If we're able to, like, everything he just said made a lot of sense in terms of all of these guys. And if you watch the whole clip, not now, but anyone that does watch the whole clip, we hear a lot from the very loud minority that hold, and this is not down talking anyone or anything, that hold maybe $1,000 worth of ILV or $10,000. But they're relatively, in the grand scheme of things, relatively small amounts. Whereas if Framework is doubling down, all of these VCs are doubling down, all of these firms are doubling down. They're not just going out of feeling. They're not like, oh, I feel bullish, let me just throw. That's not what they're doing. It's months of DD, months of research, months of us proving that it makes sense for them to double down in the large numbers, right? The 6, 7, 8 figures. So for them to go and go through that process, do all of that DD, understand that we're not at a seed stage anymore, and still double down and put that bet down, I think it's a very strong signal for a lot of the silent players that do hold more than $1,000 or $10,000 worth of ILV. I think it's a very positive indicator to a lot of the people that are a little bit more quiet in the community and that look at things in a little bit more of a holistic view. So I very, very excited. I think Kieran in that clip or in that segment of the AMA as well confirmed that we're about halfway done with what we want. So again, that's for me very exciting, and it should be for the community as well, where all of the things I just said, we've already got a bunch of VCs doubling down, saying, hey, yep, we've done the DD. It's still the right decision for us. New VCs, it's the right decision for us. So it's very, very exciting. And I'm absolutely gassed to have that kind of energy around us, behind us, pushing us, just as we're on the very cusp of open beta.
I've seen a lot of really average games getting shilled around Twitter lately, and it makes me feel even better about Illuvium. Illuvium's been building for a long time. They don't have this 1% of the supply in circulation anymore and things like that. They really are leading Web3 gaming. Probably them, maybe Parallel has one of the strongest Web3 gaming communities.
Parallel's got, I gotta give Parallel a shout out in terms of their influencer stuff as well. Like Alice Straza, they got another guy from Team Liquid, maybe today or something like that. Like they've got a very strong. I mean, I know a couple of the Hearthstone guys, Betsy, Fino. Like there's Tyler. There's a bunch of really big Hearthstone players that they've got. So massive shout out to Parallel. I think whoever is in charge of the influencer stuff there, props, mad props.
They do really good work. I'm just happy because I bought one of those little colony things ages ago because I want to play that game in early access, and it's gone up like 10x. All right. Yeah. So
I will just say before we move on, I will just say this as well. You're 100% right with us leading the way. The more I look at it, the more I see the market as it is, the more comfortable I get with our position, knowing what I know about the game, the state of the game, the features that we have coming out. Yeah, we're very, very comfortable, very, very positive going into this next couple of months.
Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. So the next one we've got here is hopefully something cool. I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like it's not just like click your fingers and start talking about it. It's like 12 hours a day of like sitting here being on like 50 capital raise calls in between all of the other meetings that I do. It's like
50 people. I mean, no, he might be exaggerating. I don't know. But even I remember last time he was dealing with the capital raise, it's quite a few people. He's talking to a lot of people that are interested. I've even seen people pop up in the Discord say, how can I talk to Kieran? I want to get involved and things like that. So they exist. There's people that want to throw money at ILV for, I mean, think what you want about that. I don't know. It's up to your opinion. I'm just telling you how it is right now.
And I know for a fact he's not exaggerating. As someone who's trying to sort him out with a bunch of AMAs and trying to fit that into the schedule, I'm very much aware of his availability. Yeah, it's mad. It's mad. Again, I keep going back to this statement, but we are very positive, very comfortable about the next couple of months.
So the next one we've got here, let's jump into it.
A period before we go live where we test things. I don't know how long that's going to be. I'm hoping that it's sort of 2 to 4 weeks. That would be the ideal.
So he does end up saying 2 to 4 weeks. He's talking about having the testnet run for about 2 to 4 weeks before open beta launches. So the minute PB4 comes out, you know that there's about, let's say, be conservative, 4 to 7 weeks until the game launches, which would be super, super hype. There's no other way to put that.
I want to clarify and protect Kieran out here. He said he's hoping for 2 to 4 weeks. That's our goal, right? Depending on the feedback we get and everything like that, it is a changing variable, but 2 to 4 weeks is the target.
Alrighty.
Shooting and hitting an Atlas with a sword very, very shortly. It's definitely not going to be in open beta, but I think we will definitely, similar to how we did alluvial hunting, we'll leak what Andre and his team have been working on in the overworld, but that's that final step for us to be able to remove the auto battler component in the overworld, and it's literally just all laid out in front of you. You capture.
There you have it, folks. Illuvial Combat is closer than we think. Obviously, it's not going to make it into open beta. I expect sometime before the end of the year, if we're lucky. That being said, that would still be really good. I mean, if we're even early is great. I'm just trying to be conservative here. But either way...
It takes till the end of the year. Yo, Andre's going to get in trouble.
Illuvial Combat... with my limited knowledge of game development, sounds really difficult. Difficult to do well, that is. I hope it's not like a really weird rush job. I think like an alluvial can't have like one way that it attacks you. You know what I mean? It's got to have a little bit of a move set and stuff like that. And there's 200 characters to do that for. So that sounds really difficult to me. That being said, they've already got a lot of the animations from the auto battler as well. So that helps.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's hard to say just how much work it's going to be to do it really well. But for an early prototype, it could be pretty quick because, as I just said, they've got a lot of the animations.
Yeah, Andre's been smashing it out. So, and he's an absolute monster. So very, very excited to see how quickly he progresses with that feature. It's one that I know everyone's been waiting for.
It is very, very exciting. So, you know what? All right, let's jump into this one.
That the guys have been testing, it's so much better, right? Like it's literally so much better. I know a lot of people out there are like, you know, Arena needs improvements and whatever. When have we ever not listened to feedback in the community? It's not like we're sitting here like, you better like this game because we're not doing any changes, right? Like that's why some of the guys, the naysayers on Twitter and whatever are like, they're idiots. They don't know what they're doing. How can you even build a game like that? We get it, right? Like you're not giving us any new information. There is an entirely new mode which will likely make the current Ascendant mode non-existent. This new mode takes the linear gameplay out of it. It allows you to pivot, gives the player a lot more agency, means that you don't need to spend anywhere near as much time building teams, and even if
So, in my opinion, and we're going to leave it on this one, is that was the most bullish part of the entire AMA. And I know you've spoken about it briefly here as well. Just you saying that it's going to be a bit more for casual and mid players and stuff like that. I just want it to be more fun and easy to get into off the bat so that we can increase the player base a little bit and things like that. And I just hope it's a really great upgrade to the Illuvium Ascendant, because Ascendant's not that bad. It's like, it's a great game. It's interesting. I think the ability that you have all the cards to begin with maybe hampers its testing a little bit. But I'm looking forward to what they've got cooking. And maybe it's a flop. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's not that good and it just doesn't get well received. But either way, it'll be something fresh, something interesting. They're trying something new, which are all positive things to me. So I hope it's good.
I think it's way better. I agree with Kieran. I think it's way better than what we have now. Again, is it perfect? Hard to say until we get the top players in and see what they think. I think the majority of players are going to think it's a huge upgrade. But yeah, there's a lot of variables, right? But I think I'm very, very confident, like 1,000% confident. It's a step in the right direction, not the wrong. So I think as long as we're doing that and making that progress, I think we can iterate quicker and quicker moving forward. And we know what works, what doesn't. We can kind of make those, again, having more data makes us make better decisions quickly. So yeah, it's way, way better. I cannot wait for everyone to get their hands on it. And I will say this. I don't think anyone has said this yet. So I will give a little bit of alpha. The rule set for the new style of Ascendant is essentially set, and we kind of know what direction we want to go in terms of the actual rule set and how it plays out. So that's all being worked on right now as well. We're not testing that out and trying out variations. We're pretty confident on what that rule set and what that experience is going to look like.
It's hard to say. They all make it sound like it's coming very, very soon. How far off do you think it is? Within a month?
I can't. Look, you're not going to get me there.
But do you think close or not close?
Wait, yeah, super close. I shouldn't say super close. Damn.
Yeah.
I apologize, guys. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, absolutely. Again, I think Kieran has mentioned that, and I'm very careful with what I'm trying to say here. And I'm only trying to kind of rephrase or add a little bit more to what Kieran has already stated, rather than giving all the alpha. The rule set thing was my own alpha. In terms of Beta 4, I think Kieran has said that this new game mode, this new rule set will be in Beta 4. That is what we will be testing out. So, yeah, I don't think it's very far at all.
Awesome. I'd love to hear it. Okay, let's wrap this one up. Thanks to everyone for joining the stream today. Don't forget to use my link. I'm going to post it quickly. Don't forget to use that link down below to make sure you go support me. Download the game if you haven't played it already. You need to give it a shot. The recent patch made it even more fun to play. Go and download the game on the Epic Game Store. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys in the arena. And don't forget to support my channel. I've got some really great videos coming out soon. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell. Have a good one, guys. See ya.